and welcome to Epilepsy12 Youth Advocates.
So fast forward all the way back to June 2019, where we last presented at the national conference, where everyone at all 25 tables took part in our greatest show activities, which I'm sure you remember all these lovely pictures. And it helped us to start planning the support with worries and anxieties, and it was actually the launch of our clinic chat checklist. So next month in July, we had a bit of a conference debrief. We looked at the feedback you've given us from the conference, things you liked, things that you thought could be improved on. And we looked at the list of clinics interested so far. We were really excited because we had a really quick uptake, almost people sprinting over to sign up and put themselves down to be part of the launch of this, which was really exciting because we didn't know which way it was going to go. So thank you everyone that signed up really quickly. And we also planned our next steps for the checklist. So August, we met again in person. It was really nice to see everyone. And we looked at the pledges that you'd all given us at the conference. So these were the things that you popped on the post-it notes that you were going to take back to your clinics or hoped to take back from the things that you learned from us today and learned from each other. We wrote a letter to clinics about how to fill out and use our checklists. And we also made sure that it was something that you could give to your managers to try and convince them that you should be joining this project, and it's a great thing to do, which of course it is. And we looked at the first seizure leaflet and we gave some feedback as young people about how we think the leaflet could be improved, things we liked and things we didn't like. And we also talked about doing a video at the EQUIP residential.
So, following the conference last year and having established the checklists, we then all agreed on the clinics we would have take part in September. We decided to show the broadness of the locations of the hospitals across the UK and chose one clinic in the northwest, another in the northeast, one in London, one in the southeast, two in the southwest and a further two in the south of Wales. Our group then met in October and agreed on a final set of questions to send off to the clinics, which were to be returned to us by the middle of November. We attached an information sheet as well about our project and what our next steps would be. Some of the questions we asked included, do they include a welcome pack for new patients in their clinic, which you'll hear about more later. We also explored areas such as, what extra support do they have in place for patients with additional worries and anxieties? And seeing this being as the topic of choice for our group to really centre on last year, we felt that a question to the clinics based on this was appropriate as well. When November came and the EQUIP residential happened, we were able to put together and share a patient and a parent story and show them as videos. But more importantly, we were able to say that 10 clinics expressed an interest in the checklist. Of the 8 that we chose, all 8 wrote back with the questions filled in. To have a 100% success rate so far as a project, we didn't think it was too bad.
So January 2020, Happy New Year everyone. We had a Skype meeting to look at the clinic chat checklist we received, and we also had an update on the first seizure leaflet and chatted a bit about the national conference. So the feedback we got from the clinic chat checklists were that 3 clinics considered themselves to be silver, so they thought they were doing most things really well. We had 4 clinics considering themselves to be bronze, we're doing some things really well, and 1 clinic didn't grade themselves, so perhaps they were all 3, who knows. And February, we had all 8 units. We looked through their feedback as a group of us. We all met as all the youth advocates up in the RCPCH college, and it was a massive marathon session going through all of these 8 units and trying to get together what we liked, what we didn't like. I think someone had Skyped in, someone had phoned in, which made it even more interesting. So we went through the things that you were doing, so quite often it was what you liked that you were already doing. The ideas for change were quite often things that you would like to do in an ideal world if you had all the money, all the resources, all the time, and sometimes just smaller ideas for change. And we also gave our top tips for you guys, which we tried to do based on a more cost-effective basis and a quick fix rather than a 2-year fix. And March 2020, pre and post lockdown, we voted on our priorities and gave recommendations for the national audit report. We also planned our CYP report chapter to go into this report. We thought again about our clinic chat checklist visits. I think when we first started this last year, we thought, oh yeah, great idea, we'll come and visit you guys, we've got loads of questions to ask, we're going to assess you on everything. And now it's come around to kind of thinking about the clinic chat checklist. I think we all kind of, I don't know what we signed up for here. So it's good that I think now with COVID going on, we've got a lot more time to plan what we're going to do. We came up with ideas for Epilepsy Day social media campaign. So you can see on the slide all the things that the ANDUS network we've done, and of course we dropped in some Epilepsy12 as well. And we talked about the information packs for patients that we'd like to be given. So we really liked the idea of using maps, meet the team, and then out of hours contacts for the epilepsy nurses, and just different phone numbers and emails to have in case you can't get hold of one person.
Just before we finished the Epilepsy12 Youth Advocates year, lots of people got involved in supporting different things that ANDUS were working on, particularly in April, where Ali did this beautiful red poster that went onto our Twitter to say thank you to the NHS for all of your work around COVID and the pandemic. We also had lots of Epilepsy12 people involved in our silly birthday Twitter viral video, which is where we've all got lots of merch for ANDUS. So we tried to create in our virtual environment people handing bits of RCPCH ANDUS stuff to each other, where you can probably see a few of the Epilepsy12 programme team who helped us out and got involved, along with parents, children, young people and paediatricians. Also, as part of our 5th birthday, we asked different people to give us messages about what ANDUS means to them and what children and young people being involved in the work of the college or Epilepsy12 means. And you've got one person coming up that I'm sure you're going to know.
So RCPCH and us has taught me that you need to create the space for young people, but then move out the way, not be on the platform, not even be in the video.
In April, the Youth Advocates had the first catch-up meeting of the lockdown. We decided because COVID had stopped us from visiting the clinics, we would still take the opportunity to research the hospitals and check up on them regularly to see how they are coping during these challenging times, but also to see if any updates are being made regarding the clinics. Although there weren't huge changes, which was expected given the immense pressures on NHS staff, we were pleased to see the updates that had been made to the websites to keep patients up to date about ongoing issues, COVID and non-COVID. We also put forward some exciting new ideas to HQIP for a new Epilepsy12 programme. Now during May, we decided to take advantage of National Epilepsy Week and use social media to create more awareness. In particular, we shared the top tips from the clinic chat checklists, and these are still able to be found on the RCPCH and us Instagram page. And we had another COVID catch-up in July where we recorded some voiceovers for the eQuip project and started planning for the virtual conference, which is where we are now. As you can tell, we have once again been very busy.
Hey! Obviously conference this year is a little different being electronic and all, so I want to update you on our clinic chat checklists. Last year we reviewed our questions with your input, which meant we were able to restructure them thanks to all involved. We found the results really interesting because some clinics were quite hard on themselves. Some gave themselves a bronze when they were working at a silver level. And many debate evolved on the wording of the information packs, which were originally called welcome packs. But who wants to be welcomed to epilepsy, COVID-19 interrupted our well-organised plans to visit the 8 clinics, but RCPCH and us are quite resilient and found a way around this situation by reviewing the information on the clinic websites. I hope you found this information useful. Thanks, Demi.
We can't let this year's conference go by without talking about COVID-19. We usually meet every couple of months in London. We had our last face-to-face meeting at the beginning of March, just before lockdown. Trains, the underground and the streets were really crowded and nothing seemed very different. We had our meeting, then returned home on packed trains. Some of us had to upgrade to first class to get a seat at all. What a shame. However, it turned out that we had brought more than just meeting notes home with us, as some of us ended up with a dose of COVID from that weekend meeting. All our meetings after this were using technology, so no more crowded train trips. We're lucky to live in a time where technology allows us to meet like this, but it's just not the same as meeting face to face. You don't get the buzz of the atmosphere of crowded rooms on a Zoom call, and speaking to each other across the internet is very stop-start and takes away a lot of the spark of ideas that we have when we are together. And yes, we do quite often like to talk at the same time. That's how our best work happens. Of course, COVID has also meant that we haven't been able to do our planned visit to hospitals, taking part in the CCC work. This part of our work will have to wait until it is safe to do this again. But COVID has meant that it has been easier to look at hospitals' websites and how they have changed during the COVID crisis, seeing what information is most important and at different times.
Now we're going to give you the chance to tell us what you think with a couple of polls.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Emma and I'm the Children and Young People's Engagement Manager. Thank you so much for sticking with us. But I just want to say a massive thank you to our youth advocates for putting so much effort in over the weekend to plan that and film it and then to keep checking it over the last couple of days. So what they've asked me to do is to get it to be a little bit interactive. So we are going to ask you to do some voting. Now I'm going to drop a link into the question and answer box. This has got a code, so you can go into Mentimeter or Menti, and then you can pick up the slide there. I'm just going to pop it onto the screen now so that you can see it. And again, I'm like one of the least technical people going, so if this works and you can actually see the slide, everyone can now see as well that I've got bad network quality. So hopefully if you're getting the Q&A chat box, you'll be able to see that you can go to menti.com and then you can use the code 8642217 to take part in the first question from the youth advocates. So they would like to know, how would you rank your clinic on how it supports patients with their worries and anxieties, which is the focus of their project for the last year? So would you give yourself bronze, silver or gold? And this is one of the questions that they asked all of the people that took part in the clinic chat checklists. So there was 8 different units, as you may have heard through their video, and they got them to rate themselves, thinking about all their services and what they provided. So we know that there's quite a few of you online, but also we know that we've got a slight time delay from what the live presenters say to what the audience hears. So it's good to see the numbers creeping up as you start to log on and use this new voting software that as an Epilepsy 12 Youth Advocates and CYP team we haven't used before. So it's good to see it working. Okay, we're going to give it another 15 seconds. That's it, keep the votes coming in. Okay, so this is how you would score yourself on how your clinic supports patients with their worries and anxieties around their epilepsy or their epilepsy treatment. So we're going to call it now. We've got most of you going silver although as the time lag shows, it might just fluctuate as we move to the next slide. So we're going to go to the next question now, which I'm hoping will come up. So settle this, and this is a question from the youth advocates. Now, Demi was saying that you might not have heard about, we started to talk about welcome packs, and then we thought they should be called information packs. And as Demi said, would you want to welcome someone to epilepsy? So what is the terminology that you use in terms of thinking about that patient pack that you give to people that are coming to your clinic for the first time? Is it a welcome pack for patients? Is it an information pack? Or is it neither or something else? So again, your chance to vote on this, and we'll be sharing the results on Twitter later at the Andus channel, so that you can see what everybody has said, because a few might come in after we've moved on to the next couple of slides. So welcome pack, information pack. Information pack at the moment seems to be the clear winner, which will definitely help us as we move into the next phase of the project. Okay, last call for a few more votes. That's it. Okay, so we've got one more set of voting to come, but I will just come off that screen for now. So one of the young people that was taking part in the project really wanted to just talk through some of the things that are kind of like top tips that have come from the clinic chat checklist. So there was 8 units that took part. They all did a self-assessment. They sent their answers in to the children and young people. They then got reviewed by the Epilepsy Youth Advocates, who then sent out personalised responses to each unit, so that actually they could find out what the Epilepsy Youth Advocates had picked up that they'd done really well, but also what they felt actually that there were some tips or other things that were going on. So they came up with their top tips. They really did notice though that there was like lots of best practice that they wanted to share, but also they had some ideas that needed development, and they understood that for the NHS and for clinics, you know, there isn't all the money in the world to do everything we want to do. So they did come up with some ideas that were cheap, quick and easy. And all of this is in the Youth Advocates chapter in the epilepsy report that just got launched today. So you can have a little look. I think it's round about page 42, 43, something like that. So some of their cheap, quick and easy ideas were about having a really good out of hours message, so that any patient phoning the clinic knew where they could go for urgent support, but also for a trusted place to look at online stuff. They wanted everyone to have really good lists about local organisations and national organisations that could be signposted to. And they needed to be updated because sometimes they change. But that wasn't just about epilepsy care. That could also be about mental health support. And there's quite a lot of different apps and resources for children, young people and for parents and carers. But also maybe for parents around things like benefits or things like actually how to get support with school stuff. They also wanted to make sure that everybody thought about how they could protect time in their appointments with health appointments with patients and families, to think about how they could talk about worries and anxieties and how to manage this. So should it be with the whole family together? Should it be with the young person or the child separately? And how to bring that conversation up. So they were the cheap, quick and easy ideas. The ones that probably needed a little bit more time and planning were around information packs, as we've just seen from the results, and making sure that they developed with age. So they were reinforced throughout the epilepsy journey, and not just everything given in one bundle or at one point in their life, but to really think about where the information might be changing. Also to look at how A&E can support the journey. So with the first seizure safety netting leaflet that's out now, but you know, working with colleagues to think about actually what needs to happen for families when, you know, this is the first time it's happened, or there's an A&E admission. So another one for a bit more time and planning would be about how to offer more people in that patient and families circle first aid training, so that actually things like trips and sleepovers and seeing friends can happen. but also to see actually if there's some resource to help increase the numbers of not only kind of like school-based training, but those school and home visits, so that actually the conversations can take place not just in a medical environment. So they were some of the tips that the young people pulled together for you. Now there's one more bit of voting that we need to do. So I'm just gonna, so go back to Menti. Let me get the next code for you. The next set of questions is thinking about how can we support you with the next stage of the project. So what kind of things would you like to see? Now, so this question is, would you like to have access to the self-assessment checklist so that you could do it yourself? So we only were able to work with 8 clinics for the first part of this project. So it would be great if people would like to get involved and to maybe do the self-assessment themselves. So the first question is, would you like to have access to a self-assessment checklist to complete it yourself? So as I said, it's Menti and the code is 2411530. And this is where the time lag works in my favour, that some of you have already managed to get in and get on and get voting. So the numbers are definitely rocking up there for that you would like to have access to the self-assessment checklist. So this will be the questions that Demi had on the slide earlier, which we can now share with people. Last conference, we couldn't share it because we were still working on them. Excellent. So we'll go to the next question, which is thinking about what product might help you that the youth advocates could create. So could it be those links to mental health support organisations? Could it be tips and training on how to talk about worries and anxieties with patients and families? Could it be a patient pack template? Or could it be tips and training about supporting people with their first seizure? So from a patient point of view. So use the same code and the same slide. That's it. So far we've got a bit of a range in answers. There we go, the votes are coming in. So we'll give this another 10 seconds and then we are going to go back to the video of the children and young people. And like I said, it's a little bit glitchy because of the Wi-Fi and all of that. So we will make sure that the link goes out as part of the delegate information for everybody that's joined up. So you will get a chance to see them and hear them properly, because I know for some of them it's a little bit quiet as well. So it looks like tips and training on how to talk about worries and anxieties with patients and families could be something that actually we could support with, which gives us a really good thing to think about as we go into the next year of, or the next few months at least, of the Epilepsy12 Youth Advocate project.
Well, they were interesting results. We're going to share them with you later on Twitter.
Something I wish for the project is for it to go worldwide.
One thing I have learnt from this is certainly how difficult it is to say clinic chat checklists to anyone who I'm explaining it to for the first time. Although this can get frustrating, it has been discussed that some of the phrases we're using can be quite confusing to those who hear it. We have described the clinic chat checklists as clinic chat checkups in the past, and have ourselves struggled to adapt to using them as everyday terms. The same confusion happened when we described the welcome packs in the clinics as information packs. These could be seen as the same thing to many, but one clinic came back and told us they hadn't provided welcome packs, but were very proud of their information packs. So I think the learning point for the next year would be to clearly establish what we want from the clinics, and then clearly make it known to them to avoid any confusion.
My hope for the future that we've learnt from the last few months is that more awareness has been raised of how mental health affects everyone and not just those with chronic conditions.
The main hope I have for the next 12 months is that as lockdown begins to ease and COVID remains at the forefront of people's minds, but doesn't necessarily remain everybody's priority, our project can begin to pick up pace in the same way it did after conference last year. We were so pleased with the number of people who approached us, asking questions and expressing an interest in what our plans were, and as the year went on, checking in with us on how we were progressing. Hopefully, with your help this year, can be the same, and we can come back to conference next year with a packed section at the start, telling you even more about what we've done with the projects and the clinics, and praising you even more for the support you've continued to give us through the year.
One thing I've learned in the last few months is to find happiness in the small things by living in the moment and not making yourself plan for the next day or the next week.
One thing I learned was you don't have to be close together to make a difference.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for staying until the end.
Thanks for being amazing. Scrolling.
Hello and welcome to the, what's it called again?
Scroll.
So, following the conference and having established the checklists, we then agreed on our, sorry, my writing's really small. Thanks for joining us.
What was my name?
To keep a straight face for so long.
You did it so well, Owen, as well.
Well, that went well.
Okay, thanks, Emma. That was fantastic. I think a real exemplar of youth and young people engagement. But not only that, you said you didn't have any tech skills, but you managed far better than I did, and also dealt with the glitches with far better humour. So major congratulations to you.